We knew this was coming down the pipe.
Local education leaders are testifying to state lawmakers they want some flexibility to meet state-required reading comprehension standards for public school third graders. These students are required by law to read at grade level or not advance to the fourth grade. State Superintendent of Public Instruction June Atkinson was called before legislators and says she supports a reading focus.
There's nothing more that I would want than to have the 105,000 students in our classrooms to be promoted to the fourth grade. Why? Because we have taught them to read.
Some local schools leaders are saying this new portfolio of reading passages that are used to test third graders is proving too difficult for third grade level. It will unnecessarily label students as needing remediation, so they want some options to assess their own students based on local decision-making ability and a local perspective of student needs.
We will move back away from the portfolio and these passages we find extremely too difficult, and we will be able to use the tools that we already have in place that our teachers are trained on to determine which of our students are proficient. My concern is with the cut scores that were established last year, I don't believe it was your intention to send 50 to 60% of our third graders to summer school. If we move back to the assessments that we have been using, which we believe are valid and reliable assessments of reading proficiency, we'll be looking at more like 20 to 30% of our students who will qualify for summer camps.
Some Republican leaders say their Read to Achieve law is ensuring accountability of teachers and student performance. But they're questioning reports they say they're hearing from local school districts that a vast majority of third graders will need summer reading camps to boost comprehension and pass into fourth grade.
So you would agree that it is inappropriate or something's wrong with the idea that parents are being advised that as many as 75% of our kids will need to go to summer camps?
In my professional judgment, it is not wise to say that 75% of our students will be in summer camps.
What lawmakers are being told is that 81% of new third graders are not yet reading at third grade level, a goal that must be achieved by the end of the third grade school year. Superintendent June Atkinson can't tell legislators how many second graders are reading at second grade level prior to advancing to third grade.
I cannot answer that question because the General Assembly law says that we shall not give an end of grade test to second graders. So consequently, in keeping with the laws of North Carolina, we have not given an end of grade test to second grade students.
The current reading comprehension levels are set by public educators and other experts, and students who prove they can read above that cut score level will advance to fourth grade. Lawmakers aren't setting the cut score, but they're tracking how many students meet that standard and disagree that reading levels are so low, summer reading camps across North Carolina will explode in attendance. Senator Phil Berger, 81% of the kids coming into the third grade not reading at third grade level. You say that's been twisted a bit.
Yeah, we're concerned about the analysis and the cut scores on those tests that have been implemented.
With a cut score, I interpret that to be local schools, education professionals set a grade, and if the kids can't read at that level when they get out of third grade, they don't make the cut. Is that how that? Is that how?
Well, that's generally what it is. But in this case, what we've got is we've got a program that's it's fairly simple, Kelly. What we're trying to do is make sure that kids who leave the third grade have acquired the necessary skills to be able to read. It's not very complicated because what we've seen is those kids who don't know how to read by the end of the third grade are all too often those kids that end up dropping out of school. So I think we've got a moral obligation as legislators, as school administrators, as parents, to make sure that our kids are able to read. And now on the NAEP, which is the nationally normed test, we've got about 40% of our kids who are not reading at grade level at the end of the third grade, and that's unacceptable.
So instead of 81%, 40% might need a reading camp, or you get ahead of this thing the spring semester of third grade year and get them up to speed so they can pass that test.
Well, and our hope is that it's not quite 40%. 40%. Our hope is that, that what we can do is with some remediation, with some additional help, that kids will have at least the baseline skills that they need in order to be able to be successful.
When you took power in the Senate, you went right after public education to make some changes you think would be beneficial. There's reading, there's writing, and there's arithmetic, and you've been reading, and more reading. So where does writing and arithmetic come in on all this down the road?
Well, reading is the basic skill. We've known for over 1,000 years, educators have known for over 1,000 years, that the progression is you learn to read, and then you use that skill to read to learn. And if you don't get the first part of it, you're not going to be able to do the writing, you're not going to be able to do the arithmetic, you're not going to be able to do a lot of the things that you're called on to do in the 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. So reading really is the foundation, and the way we've been teaching literacy has not gotten us to where we need to be. And so we've had to make some changes. The Read to Achieve program ultimately should help move us in the right direction.
Is this a systemic, the issue that kids aren't reading where they should at the end of 3rd grade? Are you seeing that as a professional problem that our educators have by and large, or is it a systemic problem of the public education bureaucracy?
It is a problem, I think, of emphasis. And a problem of using the right tools. And we have tens of thousands of magnificent teachers in our school system. I'm not faulting the teachers. What I am saying is that we've got to have a policy and a program in place that helps us move more kids from the 3rd grade to the 4th grade with the skill, the basic skill of reading.
State officials and some superintendents were here in Raleigh talking to you, or they're standing in front of you. They say, give us more flexibility to assess what end of grade means, what that level means. Are you inclined to give them that flexibility, or did you pass this state law because it needs state oversight? You
know, Kelly, the interesting thing is, if you go back and read the statute provides for that flexibility. And the statute basically says that local school systems can develop their own assessment as long as it has the appropriate rigor, as long as it measures what needs to be measured as far as the skill of reading. All they have to do is apply to the State Board of Education for approval to use that alternative measure. And unfortunately, the message that our local systems got was you've got to do it one particular way, and that's not what was designed. So I've encouraged people to read the bill. You know, we see at the national level that once you read something, you see what's in it. If you read the bill, you will understand that the program is not that complicated. I think there's been a real problem as far as the implementation of the program, and I think the State Board did a good job this past week of providing the flexibility that's necessary, and we'll continue to monitor that.
Do you see yourself in the legislature as more of an auditor of how state public education is going, or are you a colleague of them? Because I mean, you see the branding out there in the popular culture, and they look at you and they look at the superintendent, and it's almost like an us versus them thing, or I guess you are against them. How do you get around that to get them to listen, to read those laws, to interpret them the way you say you need them interpreted?
You know, I think we're all for the kids being successful. We're all for our education system producing the results that we need. I've met over the past several weeks with superintendents from all across the state of North Carolina. Those superintendents are supportive of the Read to Achieve program. They understand the emphasis. They understand it's the right emphasis. Again, I think the problem that we've seen that cropped up in the last few weeks has been a problem of implementation. It's not a problem with reference to the goal. It's not a problem with reference to how we designed the legislation. It is a problem with the implementation, and we're in the process of getting that straightened out.
Looking ahead to future in the near term, a short session, maybe the next long session in 2015 with public education overhauls, reforms, are we ending an era where Republicans have now reshaped public education more into how your philosophy, how you want to see public education operated? Are you there, and now we start rebuilding in certain places? What should teachers feel? We're going to see another 2 years of heavy reforms.
No, I think we've been pretty clear that we are interested in making sure that children, our students, have the opportunity and acquire the basics. That we will support the implementation of those programs. But I think in terms of education, you've got to constantly be observing whether or not we're making the grade, so to speak, and we are hitting the marks that we need to hit. And unfortunately, for all too long, we have not been providing for our children the type of opportunity that they need in education. When you have 40% of third graders not reading at grade level at the end of third grade, and you have somewhere around 25 to 30% of our kids dropping out of high school, and you have the kids who graduate from high school when they go to community college having to take remedial classes in reading and literacy and in math, then we're not doing the job that we need to do, and we've just got to do better.
Senate President Pro Tem Phil Berger, always you making time for us. We appreciate that, and have you on again real soon.
Thank you, Kelly.